Welcome, welcome to a Late IHP Show where we get to just chit-chat with this 5D mystic here about the amazing energies tonight at least, and being yourself and how, well, for the ones who are securely attached, of course, for the ones who are not, and the securely attached, let me specify, non-traumatized. So people who know how to self-regulate the nervous system, they enjoy it, and that's the group of the 5D frequency. And so when you're doing that, it means that you're able to dance of true love. You don't have maladaptive patterns, drinking, drugging, fucking. You're not weighed down by your body. You're not weighed down by life. You're not using any of that, pain, no gain, and dragging a pain point around. Stuff like that. So the 5D mystics we love. This is one of my favorite cards. We have some Augur mastery. And we also do love very much, I'm going to say, alchemy. So I remember growing up and it being talked about tarot and all this mystic stuff as a devil's work, demon's work, stuff like that. Actually, it's fascinating to know of Patrick McNamara. He's a neuroscientist who shares what happens when people have a bad decentralizing of the self experience, which is why we have a person who's spreading rumors about yoga, but why we also have people who have contributed. I won't show the book just to respect the person, but they've contributed to our lovely mystic community. And then they made a switch because they had a nightmare. And that nightmare had them then continue with those ancient stories about, Lucifer and devils and demons. And so, with that being said, I'm just going to read the page that came out. Ashtar, New Age, also known as Commander Ashtar. Ashtar is a human-looking mediator who works with extraterrestrials and humans, helping to create a peaceful universe. Ashtar is a member of the Great White Brotherhood, see the glossary, okay, and he works closely with Jesus, Archangel Michael, and Saint Germain. Like a nightclub bouncer, Ashtar protects Earth from negative visitors or energies from other planets. He's involved with ensuring peace between planet populations through the Intergalactic Federation. He also heads a group of humans and extraterrestrials known as the Ashtar Command. Ashtar's mission is to avert nuclear war on Earth, which would have a negative ripple effect across many galaxies. He wants to help humans reach their highest potential, a process known as ascension, and be completely focused on divine love. Ashtar guides humans away from third-dimensional thinking that believes in limits and restrictions and is focused on time measurement. He also gives personal guidance on how to stay safe and calm during the many changes occurring on Earth. Okay, so we'll stop there. Helps with aliens' understanding and having peaceful interactions with Earth changes, profound thinking, protection, releasing fear, spiritual understanding. And there's an incantation. So for me, what I know is that people can use all the stories they want, but if they don't, the mystics, if they don't have their securely attached, non-traumatized nervous system, and therefore meaning that they're not a whole self, that they're not a grown-up version of themselves, they can just do spiritual bypassing with all this stuff. And so with the ascension energies coming about, they continue with stories that will continue because we have the spirituality soul age group and the relationship soul age group. So I'm in the enlightenment soul age group, and you'll know when you get there because it'll be a feeling like a lot of other things. I'm also an empowered feminine, which is why we know everything about. It's a sound, it's not words. The words come after our 2 years of age. We don't need words. Empowered feminines don't need to think. We feel first. In fact, emotions are faster than thoughts in any human being's body. The people who don't understand that, they just don't want to. They don't like the data that the scientists are presenting, the attachment trauma educators, so we leave it alone. But for those of us who are empowered feminines, like I'm a feeling first. And the words come after. And so every word you utter, every action you take, your very existence, is it for everyone's well-being or is it just about you? Thank you, Sadhguru. I talk a lot about my experiences so that you can understand what it's like to have the infinite higher human conscious potential experience so that you can also be knowledgeable on some of that which I learn. Obviously, fuck up the data. I'll forget the data, but I'm the pseudoscience woo lady who consistently shows up to say, be yourself. And the inner growth mindset is now consistently accompanied with me knowing that I've been doing mindfulness practices even without knowing the word, without having I'm almost done with my course material, and mind sight skills. Okay, so sifting through sensations, images, feelings, thoughts. What I love about the 5D collective is that, as Bill O'Hanlon, LMFT, presents, it's not enough to ask people about a positive experience, it's about savoring that experience and getting them to stay with it. That's what I love about our 5D collective, is that we do know the most precious thing is life itself, and we realize it now. So, till death do you part, sickness and health, better or worse, richer and poorer, it's something that we know in a way that one, spirituality, the way of living with meaning and connection beyond the solo self, because you have consistently compassion. You don't navigate low frequencies. The 5D collective doesn't know resentment, envy, doesn't harbor it. Those are people who are adaptive child part. They need Terreal or Patrick Tan if they want. They don't have to. So people who know how to calibrate their nervous system, they are the ones who are navigating the love frequency consistently, as that's what your oxytocin gene hormone is. That's what eustress is. It's not hard. It's actually quite amazing. I'm an Akashic record reader, so I learned, self-taught, mental, emotional, and physical plane. Once you're doing your physical plane mastery, you'll know that too. As an empowered feminine, masculines don't know anything until they allow themselves to actually realize, number one, that their first affect as well, sensations, images, behaviors, affects, meanings, so that means they realize they're emotional first. Then, once they realize this, they allow themselves enough time to put into practice becoming self-aware, accountable, and regulating as soon as those emotions come up. And so they disengage from talking over themselves, from talking feelings, from being a person who's assuming. This is the reactivity. So for masculines, I'm not a masculine, but that's what I've noticed, is that if they are empowered, then they know how to pause, bring forth their feelings like a Terreal, and actually understand that whether they like it or not, they're vulnerable and emotional, first of all. And so they won't be speaking with I know everything. They also know that words are secondary, because the feelings are what brought forth that which you are elaborating on. So they actually have the wit of what an empowered masculine would have. The same thing goes for the empowered feminine. So the only idiots who think you're not emotional are the same idiots who are not empowered anythings. And that's because, again, they are not speaking their words for all. They're speaking their words for whatever worked for them or didn't work for them, because otherwise, again, they would know the basics of neuroscience and neurobiology and mental health and the nervous system. They wouldn't be denying that information, because only an idiot denies information. You add to the subject matter experts. You don't stay stuck in an ancient time and want to prove what was yesterday's news. As for some people proving that you have been determined, thank you, Robert Spolsky, I'm going to say that yes, most people will probably stick to that, because, that's how it works for the not securely attached people. They don't notice their inconsistencies, and they don't want to. So there are maladaptive patterns, inner critic, outer critic, ruminating, being upset, envious, jealous, spiteful, being in the biochemistry of fear, not knowing how to dance the dance of a true lover. They're going to continue to drink, drug, do fucking, and again, a bunch of stuff. They have stories for themselves too. They don't become seekers. A seeker means admitting that you don't know. Once you have cleared your slate, truth can imprint itself upon it. Thank you, Sadhguru. And he continues with, if you are really looking for the truth, don't assume anything, just seek. So functional adults, as Terrio points out, are able to do ambiguity, learn new things. Even a Dr. Danny Siegel will present a present brain is flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, stable, because we're curious, open, accepting, and loving, and we're also curious, open, and aware and loving of ourselves. So only when you have the basic emotions of anger, sadness, fear, happiness, disgust, surprise in the forefront, know you have three parts to them: the subjective experience, the physiological response, and the behavioral response. And with that being said, ascension energies continue to come around. So when they are coming around, we're going to know of a lot of amazing expansion moments for those of us who do know that the greatest gift that we can give to each other is to accept one another, respect one another, and love one another just the way we are. And that for most people, love means you must do what I want, and it's no, love means you do what you want, and I will still love you. Love is freedom and joy, while attachment is bondage and misery. Some people will want to continue with what they're gonna continue, and it's not ours to tell them how to live life. So functional adults come together as functional child adults, and with integrity, we know that what other people say about us doesn't matter. We will not be ashamed of what we have done. And so as long as you're knowing how to anchor in your ventral energy and you're choosing to consistently show up, that's with a self-aware, accountable, regulating nervous system, you're going to be having a good time. And we're going to keep expanding as our true selves. And that's the most amazing of journeys, because a restorative embodiment is what every person can achieve, and that's that heaven in the body. So the kingdom of God and the seed of enlightenment, all of that which you will have heard from spirituality individuals, you will then be able to have yourself, because integration of the brain is that. So when your default mode network is downregulated, you're not scanning yourself and others. That's why you don't get tired in social events. It's also why you don't need numbing agents, because you're not afraid of your emotions. You don't have this thing where you have to be the one who gets hurt. You also don't feel like people owe you anything, and you don't talk over people. You actually do have the capacity to be mindfully listening and enjoy enriching experiences. Even if you're with the 3D, 4D frequency, which is a low frequency person, you're still going to enjoy them, because Cuscos are just as much fun as Pachas. So insecure people are simply, I mean, at least for me as a 45-year-old woman, I met them as a teenager. That's why they don't really mean much as I'm growing even more. Yes, when I meet a grown-up who's completely insecure, I just like, why? Why? That's all my brain can think. It don't matter if it's a mystic or not. I'm just thinking, there's a solution to that, like now. But you know what? None of my business. So, prophecy. Let me read to you. Speak forth, mind, heart of God. Encourage, comfort, challenge, or strengthen. Outside of time, so can predict events, future, with visions or dreams. The clairs and that which is spiritual gifts are one and the same. Guru and prophet, they are quite similar. So those different words exist for different religions, different backgrounds, different moments in time, but the energy sphere is one. Even though, as a person who's a channeler downloader, what I can tell you is that when those messages come through and when we're connected to the sphere, again, I'm an empowered feminine, you'll perceive the energetic imprint, because words make sounds, by the way, besides them holding the memory of that time. That's amazing. Again, I bring human, spiritual, and spirituality elements. The human elements involve sciences, so dark matter, dark energy, infinite intelligence, consciousness, it's all together. The frequency of love is what you navigate thanks to you choosing the well-being within your own embodied brain. And if you're not, then you're going to use an amygdala. Your frontal lobes will be flopped down, and that's why we got 4D channelers and downloaders who are in their little hissy fit saying, "You trauma dump on me," and stuff like that. And, that's not humility or integrity if you ask a person who knows what humility and integrity mean. And again, we all can definitely be alchemizing as masters of our own life, but the first thing, whether you're a mystic or a spiritual or mindfully living, loving, atheist sciences person, is knowing I have 3 ways my nervous system engages in life, and I want the social engagement system to be that which I'm using. So secure attachment, non-traumatized people, it's because we metabolize left and right, and we don't project. So we don't have any enemies, any superheroes, any supervillains, and we don't demonize or dehumanize our lovely loved ones and people overall. So again, empowered feminines know that every masculine has the potential to become amazing. And when we watch them fall, we can go help them get up. If they don't want our hand, though, we won't call them Lucifer, devils, or demons. We will leave it alone, because we'll be able to understand you don't want love, okay? Could have said it many different ways, but that's the part of where biologically rude people aren't choosing. They're ruled by their first 3 years of life. So you got a child in the room. Yeah, you leave the 14-month-old to follow Wendy, Peter Pan, Lost Boys. They're not charming. The 7 to 14, they're idiots to me. But again, I know who's going to be following them. But many voices are not many for those of us who are discerning, equanimous and loving like God is. It's a very straight shot, shot through the heart, and no one's to blame. No one can give love a bad name. The only people who continue to actually think of there being superheroes and supervillains are the same ones who are in their fight response thinking that death is easier than living because pseudo-aliveness is what they're doing. So as long as people ignore getting themselves grounded, not only in reality, every one of our cherishable beliefs could be falsifiable. I already knew that one. Thank you, Sam Harris. Grounded also in your body. So aliveness means you know how to be in your prefrontal. No clinical dissociation, not on, off, and ignoring it, not you waking up more tired, not you continuing maladaptive patterns of behavior, none of that. So people who ignore their health, they'll just use tales for us to hear, I had to go through suffering. Don't you see how expanded I am? I lost all the people. They don't match my frequency. I will be always socializing with all people. Doesn't mean I like them all, but I will be nice and polite because that's actually the right thing to do, humanly speaking, for healthy self-worth people. You get taught common courtesy, you know what I mean? Like, this is not a very hard equation. It doesn't mean I have to become your friend, though. And so this is that part of where the self-empowered person knows I can be seen as crooked, but I'm not. But I can be seen at it because I can't prove intent. It's not something you're going to be offended about. You don't need to keep on highlighting what was painful about your experience. Would you mind telling me how you went and got through it? So only pain is what we see people talking about, and that's the part of where there is no pain, no gain. No. Actively, it's just because we got a bunch of people who could use Patrick Tiahan and Terriel, and that's for therapy, not anything different. That's that they don't know that their brain is running a model of its body. Thank you, Lisa Feldman Barrett. And that their body keeps a score, so that shit comes up that can be handled once they can contain sensations, images, behaviors, affects, and meanings, grow a window of welcome to affects in time. And also there's that which is called effective realism, again, where people think their thoughts and emotions are true. I forget who said it, the name of them, but I think it's Lindquist. And then 97% of what is going on out there is unavailable for scientists to observe. So they can only make their best estimates. And for us mystics, as John O'Donoghue informed lovely Dr. Daniel Siegel, we are people who believe in the reality of the invisible, yes, but we also understand when science is explaining it, it doesn't deny God, so we don't need to actually dismantle anything. And here's, Kristen Lindquist, powerful emotions feel like irrefutable facts. Effective realism is that. Let's remember that our ability to read the room is not the reason why we stay home. The ability to read the room is because we're all nervous systems. And really, if you're talking, you're not reading the room. Because the reading of the room is my nervous system as I'm present as Maria, secure, detached, non-traumatized, not scanning self and others. I'm a default mode network that's down-regulated, enjoying my time. I'm not trying to get it perfect. I definitely am not performing. No, I do not know, which is the doorway, the only doorway to seeking and knowing. Thank you, Sadhguru. Also, I am committed, so there's no such thing as failure. Again, thank you so much, Sadhguru. Just lessons to be learned. And as an empowered feminine, I do know that when things go wrong, I will see if there's an empowered masculine in front of me who shows me what they've got with their ventral vagal state, or if I have a not empowered masculine. And that doesn't mean woman or man. It just means a person who's going to have inner critic, outer critic, and they're going to do drinking, drugging, fucking. They're doing numbing agents, basically, on a wheel, by the way. So personality, thank you, Dr. Dan Siegel, is a filter through which our temperament deals with us as one nervous system, body, being here on earth. And in awareness, you become aware of who you really are. And it's not the personality patterns, but you do work with them. So mine are flexible, adaptive, coherent, energized, and stable. That's because also we are people who have consistently learned to choose love. I know I have. Thank you, God. Thank you, Jesus. Thank you, Holy Spirit. So implicit memory, explicit memory, and you ruling yourself. We also know that being a leader does not mean dominating the situation. It means empowering people to do what they would not have imagined possible. Thank you, Sadhguru. And he also shares, one who is stuck in the realm of right and wrong, liking and disliking, will never know the texture of love. That's because they're in their sympathetic and they're in half a brain. So yes, actively, they're not around. They're just self-fulfilling prophecies of themselves. And so with that being said, empowered feminines, we know that no one is divinely guided to us. And although when I began with the whole one thing, I come from a, like anybody else, monoamory, monogamous, predominant. But besides that, as a mystic, the twin flame, soulmate thing. So those stories, let's see. Love is your oxytocin gene hormone, securely attached, you, non-traumatized, you, left, right, working together. You don't get tired in public and you don't perform. You're not afraid of speaking your truth from here to here, and you know that you won't ever get it right like the comedians, and you don't give a shit because there's too many sensitive egos out there. And that's it. If they don't even know how they're misunderstanding you as they speak over you, they don't also have the balls to tell you what they're thinking as you're speaking, and to have what is an actual confrontation, which basically states, I have a subjective experience explaining it. I can't prove intent, but you're going to hear me out. I'm going to hear you out. And then we're going to wait until we are on the same line, because one way, shape, or form, we'll find out how to make sure that I'm understood by you in the way that I want to be understood, because I'll know if you understood me or not. And then you'll repeat and I'll repeat. And this is actually something very good to do with people that are aware, because that's how you find out, oh shit, there's a lot of people who have different stories with their affect. Thank you, Terry Real. So functional child adults know this, which is why we won't make it our mission to be, it was so personal. But we don't like when people take something that is ours and say, this is the truth of it, because it's called effective realism. But we learn how to leave it alone, because again, there's two groups: functional child adults, adaptive child part people. And those groups over there, they're all divisive, they're all flat earthers, round earthers, they just stay in that one government, another government, monoamory, polyamory, they just pick to stay all by themselves, and there you go. So they do them, and the 5D collective. Instead, we're mystics, spiritual, mindfully living, loving people who like to have fun and understand exactly how every one of our cherishable beliefs could be falsifiable. That's grounded in reality. We know what data is, and we do enjoy stories like So love, it's permanent for the securely attached, non-traumatized person who's using two sides of the brain, a whole heart and a whole self and a whole good gut. And so with that being said, welcome aboard. I hope you have a wonderful evening, and see you again soon.